Finish this all up, I want to go over lastly the navigation with the swiping and then publishing, and one thing that I think you all want to do, and we'll do that. So this, the way that it's set up and the way that all these choices are with buttons and everything, this is not going to be a swipe type situation. This is all going to be based on these buttons and decisions, okay? But for those of you who are doing a true swipe, all you have to do, and here's the difference, right, is if you wanted to do a swipe where there was no buttons on screen, such as we have here, you could do that, right? But what happens is, and I'll use this one as an example, you can't have a button on the screen if you're going to do swipe, right? Because people would want to click it. And having a button on the screen, as you can see here, puts that pause in there. See the pause? We talked about that in the timeline structure of it. So having a pause in there means we can't swipe, right? Because it's paused. Essentially within here, they're looking for you to click on a specific button for this thing to move forward. But in this sense here, where you're going to design without any buttons because you are doing swipe, you can see there's no pause. But with there being no pause, it's going to continue, right? So the only thing that you need to make sure you're doing is these on enters that we've been working with. You want that on enter, you want it to pause, right? So just cruise down here and say pause. So that doesn't put, you see down here, there's no pause now on the actual timeline. So that really frees up to do any type of navigation that we want. Okay? So that is all donezo, and it just means by pausing this, we now need to use navigation. And if you're going to do the swipe, if you go up to the top and say window and then click on this mobile palette, this is what's telling you everything that you can do, okay? A long tap is going to play pause movie. So in theory, you think if you long tap it, it's actually going to begin to play that. The navigation we know is swipe left and right. You can pinch, double tap to show or hide the table of contents, which you've seen. And then this swipe up and down, I'm not going to have a play bar, so we're not going to do that. And we're not doing geolocation. So this is your mobile palette. You just want to make sure that's checked, and you'll see that here shortly when we do the publish. So that's really all you have to do. You just have to now play to these things, right? So of course, in this particular scenario, if I'm on this slide here, I'm not going to be able to do any swiping, right? But if I had, say, the recipe section down here was long, and I just wanted them to swipe through how long the drink recipe is, that's going to work out quite nicely here, okay? Now we also saw on that mobile palette, you saw the, where'd it go here? Oh, double tap to show hide the table of contents. And we talked about that in class. You're going to go ahead, and part of the requirements is making a menu such as this, right? So one of these menus, you're going to use fluid boxes to do it. So you don't really need the table of contents, but if you do, right, so maybe some of you do, that is nothing more than going up to project, okay, and then clicking on either table of contents or skin editor. In this case, we're going to be doing table of contents, okay? And some things that I want you to definitely do in your project before you publish it, and I want this, if you see this first thing here, it says show playback control. I'm going to enable this just to show you. But you see when I have that enabled, it has these buttons down here, all these random ones. And yes, absolutely, you can change this and customize it. You can see there's a bunch of different ones that you could use, right, like pea soup. It's a great color. What's this one here? Space blue. They're all gray for some reason. But I don't want you to use that. I want you to have all the navigation within your mobile app, being swipe it, being buttons, whatever the case may be. So make sure that thing is unchecked, okay? And this kind of coincides with that, so don't worry about that. But what we're worried about here is the table of contents, right? So you see that when the moment that I click show table of contents, you can see that every single one of my slides, see that start, information, order, style, all of these things right here are now part of my table of contents, and it shows you right here. Do you see this? It shows you right here what it's going to look like, okay? There's certain things that you may want that you don't want. Now, if these were not labeled, see how it says number 3 order, number 4 style, see, and it's just putting that over here. If they were not ordered, they would still show up, but it would be numbers, which is weird, right? You can definitely come down here to settings, and you want to change some of these things. So you can see that you have a style here. It's either style of overlay, or style, and I guess it's not going to let me do that in mobile. Okay, so that's good. Left position, which is fine. You can change the alpha. So say you want it to be about 65%, and it shows you real time your changes right here. Okay? I don't want to collapse all. I want it to be self-paced, meaning they can click wherever they want. I don't really because of what we made, but I'm telling you your options here. So these are just things that you can check, uncheck. I don't want them to search. I don't need the status flag. I don't need movie duration. And then that expand icon that we talked about in class, which is this little thing right up here, you can update and do your own. And that's really simple to do. I'll try it actually. I don't think I have many things I can do. What's this? Is there any PNGs I can use? Whatever. So I'll do that. We'll see what this looks like. See, it says expand icon, bottle, and then collapse. I'm just going to, well, might as well do the same darn thing. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it's going to be kind of neat to see. So there you go. You can change that all that you want. Then we can match it. So gray kind of seems to work with mine, but if you wanted the background to be different, right? You see everything's just changing there. So you really have all of that. And I think I can actually make it. Yeah, I can. ABC Courier New. So I can make it match the font of everything like that. So that's all fine and good. So I hit OK, and there you go. So that's just something you can also do. If you don't want it, you can uncheck that, and it just won't have that option for you, okay? Info is all of this thing. You could talk about the name of this. You could talk about who did it, your email address and website. We don't need any of that. So there we go. I'm going to leave that on there just to show you and go from there. So we're good. And now to publish. We have everything figured out, right? So we just come up here and we're going to go to publish. And I don't want to publish for devices with the app, because if you publish for devices with the app, that's going to start looking for either iOS or Android specific items. We don't want to do that. We want to make this a web app that we could just put on any server that will work on any device as HTML5. So I'm going to go to publish for devices. I got to name it, right? So I'm going to call it Barman. And where I want to save it, I'm just going to put it on the desktop. And everything else, this stuff is weird. We don't need to talk about it. You just want to make sure, if in fact you're using the swipe to navigate, you want to make sure that the mobile gestures is yes. And these other things, we don't need geolocation. And yes, if you want to do accessibility and all that, that's just 508 compliance. You do all of that. And then we're good to go, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. And it says publish clear, and we're just going to say yes because I want to show you the next part of this. When I hit yes, hey, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. So when I hit yes, you can see that it launched. It's on my local host, but I still have this darn play button, right? So now I have to hit play. And let me just make this mobile. So I have to hit play. And that's really kind of annoying. Hey, look at my little... it actually kind of worked. That looks... Look at that. Look at that. That looks pretty neat. I like it. But anyway, I don't want to have to do that, right? I want it to play automatically. And for some reason, and for the love of... I have no idea why, but they got rid of the autoplay, okay? So what you have to do is go to your publish file, right? So I went to my desktop and I called it Barman right here, okay? Got it. And I want to open up index. And this is the beauty of it, right? So you're all talking about web development. When am I going to use web development? Well, this is the situations where you have to understand and know HTML, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and open up Dreamweaver. Just because it's easy for me, I have Dreamweaver. You can actually use Notepad or anything like that. And once you have this thing opened, you can see that there it is. It has that weird play thing right here. I don't want that. I want it to play automatically. So I'm going to cruise through this, and you want to look for what they look for, the code called captivate initialized, right? And here it is, CP init, so initialized, and then it's saying initialized equal true. All you have to do, write this down, is do CP, okay? That stands for captivate. Then you hit done. And then what happens is when you publish this in HTML5, it takes all those screens and makes it a movie. So we're going to say cp.movie, okay? And then I'm just going to say play. And then I open, close my parentheses, and that's it. I mean, really all you have to do is cp.movie.play with the parentheses and then the semicolon. So now when I go to File and save all of these, you can see that that play button that was there went away, and then here is my file. So now when I close this thing, get out of Dreamweaver and go directly to this index, you could see that it's going to be a pain because it's the local host, but ultimately it'll play on its own. Not a good way to end this darn thing, but that's what you do. There we go. So I didn't have to hit play. It just kind of came at me, and there we are. Okay? And because I'm working on local hosting with it. And all you have to do, for those of you, this is Mac and all that, you know that you just have to put this on your student server and then you're good to go. So that's how you publish, that's how you work on your swipe navigation, and then that real quick cp.movie.play will get your thing to play automatically. That's it.